Hey, and welcome back. Today we're going to continue the book of James, chapter 1, and we're graduating to verse 3. And verse 3 reads, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. And notice here it says the testing of your faith. And, really at the end of the day, our faith is our belief in God, if I can just simplify it in that way. So that our believing in God, our very faith in God is going to be tested. And what is the thing that is going to be used to test our faith and tests and trials? And this is exactly what I was sharing yesterday about the elderly gentleman who moved in this godly wisdom, as he said, that it was through those tests and trials where he learnt some of his greatest lessons and lessons in trusting in God. And it came through him being sorely tested at times, I can say. But here it says, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. So in other words, we need to understand, it says, knowing that the testing of your faith. So we've got to understand that this testing of our faith is a natural procedure. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you if it seems like you're going through tests and trials all the time, especially in the context of serving God. So, the testing of our faith. So that word testing, I want to look at that word testing today. And that word testing means approving. And so the proving is in the setting of a furnace for smelting. And, if the smelting actually, the process of it, what it does, it heats up the object or the ore or whatever it might be, and so that it separates the different materials or the different metals one from another, and it separates them. And so therefore, when the separation takes place, that the metallurgist then takes the part of that metal that they are looking for, and the rest of them is of no use. And the testing of our faith is exactly the same process. And so in a spiritual sense, the test and the trials, it's like the smelter that is turning up the heat. And it's speaking here that the testing of our faith produces patience. And so tests and trials, obviously, are good for us. It can cause us to grow in the things of God. And so, when we look at products or clothing, maybe not so much as today, but in times past, clothing used to be tested, and it would be proven before it was put on the shelf for sale. And vehicles, when you're a manufacturer of a vehicle, they would put them on a track, a circuit track, and they would drive that thing until it would break down, and they would find out what was the weak part or the weakness in that vehicle, and they'd improve it and they'd test it before they would put it on the market. Now again, I'm not so sure they're so thorough in that process these days, but nonetheless it's what they used to do. And I remember hearing the story of a preacher. You see, we're talking about things being tested, and things, once they're tested and they've passed the test, then they're useful for the market. And it's the same with us as Christians. The more that we are proven, the more God can use us. And this preacher gave a whole bunch of us a fantastic example that he was over India, or I don't know where it was, I'm not sure actually, but he was preaching over there, but he left his suit behind, he didn't pack it with him. And one of the pastors in the country where he was at said, "Oh, don't worry." He said, "Where we're staying around the corner, there's a man that can make you a suit, and if you go now, he'll measure you up, and by the morning, your suit will be ready. He'll work through the night." He thought, wow, this is amazing. So he went there, the tailor measured him up, and he said that his suit would be ready before the conference started the next morning. And to his surprise, when he went there to pick up his suit, he put it on, it was just a little beauty. He thought, yeah, this is fantastic. But then he went to the conference, and he was the first speaker, and as he got up, as he was preaching, and he's quite a dynamic preacher, and he moved around quite a fair bit, and one of the buttons popped off his jacket. And he's just thinking, this is really, really embarrassing. And so he thought, I don't think anyone else noticed it. So he kept preaching, And as he kept preaching, the last button holding his jacket closed popped, and he noticed that people had seen it. So he bent over to pick up the buttons, making a joke out of it, and as he bent over, his pants ripped in behind. And so, it was a very embarrassing moment. Now, what's the moral of this story? The moral of this story is that this man's suit was not tested. It wasn't proven to be faithful and reliable when the pressure was on. And God looks and sees through us and has great plans for you and I to accomplish much for him. But unfortunately, he can't use us until such time that our faith has been proven, it's been tested, it's been smelted, that there's a separation of the impurities. And therefore, when we step forward in the things of God, when our faith is being tested, he can use us for a greater work. And so it says here again, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. So anyway, join with me tomorrow. We're going to continue along these lines and remembering that this is written to the Christian church, to us as believers today, for us to know and to understand that persecution is something that will grow us if we have the right attitude. Amen? So God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.